We're going to continue with the orientation now and give you some definitions of some terms. The type of orthodontic device that wraps all the way around the tooth, like this one does, is called a band. It's a stainless steel band that fits all the way around the tooth, kind of fits the tooth like a ring fits a finger, and it's cemented on, and it holds this orthodontic attachment right here, which is what we use to straighten the teeth. We use bands on some of the back teeth because the chewing forces are heavier and we need more strength in order to stop the devices from coming off the teeth. We also have another type of attachment called a bracket. These are brackets. They're just a little metal square that's glued directly onto the front surface of the tooth, and we use them whenever we can. We're getting to where we use them more and more. You'll notice that almost all of the teeth here on this arch have brackets, and only the two molars in this case have bands on them. The next thing I want to show you is a jaw expander. This is an expander that's used inside the top jaw. It's attached to two bands, a band on this side and a band on this side. It has a wire that goes across the palate, and it has arms that go up across the inside surfaces of the top teeth. The expander is chosen so that it is much wider than the jaw is, and it's compressed when it's put in here, and it's attached onto the bands right here and right here. We have adjusted it carefully so that this part that goes across the palate will not dig into the skin and the roof of the palate, and we've adjusted these arms that go along here so that they'll be comfortable to the tongue. From time to time, these wires need to be readjusted. If any of these seem to be digging into the skin or into your tongue, then it means you have to come in and see us. The brackets and bands are the attachments on your teeth that allow us to move the teeth, but the actual energy that moves the teeth comes from the wire that's tied to the brackets and bands. The wire that strings along between the teeth like this is called the arch wire, and that's the main motor that moves the teeth. That arch wire is bent into the shape that we want your teeth to move to, and then it's tied to the teeth. If the teeth are crooked, the wire is slightly distorted as we tie the wire to the teeth, but the wire has memory, and as it returns to its previous shape, it will move the teeth with it, and that's what moves the teeth. So this wire is called the arch wire. Now, arch wires can sometimes cause problems for the person wearing braces. One of the ways that an arch wire can cause a problem, if it's long in the back. Here's an example of a long arch wire in the back. We always try to cut them short and bend them in so that they're comfortable to the tongue and the cheek, but sometimes one will get left long. If you get a long arch wire on the back end, you'll need to come in and have it adjusted, and you should always check the back ends of your arch wire at the end of every appointment before you leave and make sure they're comfortable when you leave. Now, another way that an arch wire can be uncomfortable is when there's a long span of wire between the teeth. Sometimes we don't put braces on all the teeth, and an arch wire that spans a long distance like this from here to here with the cheek pressing on there, sometimes the cheek will press on the wire so hard that it makes an indentation inside the cheek. We usually will put bumpers over the wire in order to protect the cheek if we have a long span like this, or else we'll bend the wire in real closely to the teeth to protect the cheeks. If you get a sore inside your cheek, you may want to see us to have that wire adjusted. Another source of discomfort from an arch wire could be if there's a loop in the arch wire. I'm trying to show this. There's a loop in this arch wire. It's right here. These loops in the arch wire, I'll put my finger behind it and you can see it. A loop in the arch wire like that is placed in there in order to make the wire more flexible, but it can sure make the lip uncomfortable if the lip is pressing against that loop. If you have anything poking you like that, you'll need to see us for an adjustment too. There are a variety of ways that wires can be tied to the brackets. One popular method is to use the colored elastic rings that tie the wire into the bracket. You can see a blue one here and a purple one here. There are also the clear ties, such as are demonstrated here. These are clear brackets and there are clear ties tying them on. Very aesthetic, very difficult to see them. And there are also the gray ties, which are usually used on the metal braces. Hard to see, they blend in very well. Furthermore, there are steel ligature ties that can be used. Hard to see, but they're little thin wire ties that can tie the wire into the bracket. And finally, there are elastic chains. This green elastic chain extending here on this model from this tooth to this tooth shows you that it's a little clear ring around each tooth and that they're attached together by an elastic in between. That's called an elastic chain. With many different varieties of color, I used a color one on this one just to make it easy for you to see. And then over here we have a gray one, which is actually quite hard to see. It blends in quite well with the braces. Another attachment that's very common when wearing braces are called elastics or rubber bands. We usually use the term elastics. I've used color ones on this demonstration here only to make them easy to see. And they're usually used when you want to move the teeth from one jaw relative to the other jaw. As you can see here, this rubber band is attached from the bottom back to the top front, and it will tend to pull the top teeth back, this green rubber band here. This red rubber band here would tend to pull the top and bottom molars toward each other. Now don't panic, because we do have other colors of rubber bands besides colored ones. We have the clear white ones, which are very hard to see. They're demonstrated on this side of the mouth. I just showed you the colored ones on this side so that they're easier to see. But if you don't want to have the colored ones, you don't have to, and if you do want to, they're available. Another type of device that's very common in orthodontic treatment in our office is the bite advancer. When somebody has a real big overbite, we give them a bite advancer. What the bite advancer does is it forces the person to hold their jaw forward in a normal position. There's this crown put on the top molar and a crown put on the lower molar that you can see like that, and there's an arm that extends out from the lower molar, as you see right here, and there's also a vertical arm that hangs down from the upper molar, which is called an elbow. The elbow of the upper bites in behind the arm that extends out of the lower, and it guides the person to hold their jaw forward. When a person tries to bite in their normal overbite, the elbow of the upper interferes against the arm of the lower, and they're not allowed to close their mouth unless they hold that lower jaw forward and bite in front like that. Now, there is some tendency for breakage with these devices. If a person pounds on them like this right here, if they pound right on here, they will break those arms. So we ask that you not pound on them, and we ask that you just simply use them as guides for where to hold the jaw shut, like that.